Morning, everyone. I am getting ready to get started on this 96 GMC Sierra. Just kind of want to show you what's going into this truck. Chose the 210s kickers. He didn't want anything too much, so we went ahead and went with the C10s. Chose a 5-channel, so it'll run both of these subs and all the 4-door speakers. 4x6 on the back, 6.5 on the front. The 1500 NEX DVD player, Apple CarPlay, and things like that. We got a Rearview camera, the bypass for the video, so you can watch while you're moving. Also, one of these things. It's a USB extension, so he can have a nicer looking USB port in the front. Got the 4-gauge dash amp kit, and also one of these doubled-in full replacement dash kit pieces. It's already pre-molded and done for a doubled-in application, as you can see. I do have to relocate the climate control just a tad bit lower. It'll come with the new mounts and things like that. It'll have the pocket. So this is a pretty nice piece. It's a full complete replacement, so you don't have to do any molding or fiberglass and things like that. So I will go ahead and start taking videos of what it looks like now, since it has a system installed, which doesn't look very good. So I will go ahead and start doing that. Here's currently what the truck looks like. This is what was installed in this truck. As you can see, all the wires, butt connectors. I mean, that gets pretty bulky behind there, so I wasn't even sure how they got it in there. I will go ahead and remove everything that was put in here and put everything brand spanking new, so everything will look good and function very well, because right now it doesn't sound very good. But that's kind of what it looks like. Let's get to it. So I started taking everything apart. I'm not quite sure what they are trying to accomplish, but as you can see, there's so many different connections of, I don't even really know what they're trying to do, but it looks like they cut it, extended it. So it's not really how you're supposed to do it, so I kind of have no choice but to just cut this plug off. It's too damaged to even try to keep. This vehicle will get a 5-channel amp, so the speaker wires in here are not even going to be really needed. All I'll need is the accessory, 12 volt, and ground. So it kind of makes sense just to cut it, so it kind of gives it a little bit more room. But yeah, that's definitely not done the way it should be. So here's the current progress. I am still taking out all the wires. I went ahead and started taking out the RCAs, and I guess they're makeshift speaker wires or something like that. I don't really know. Here's the amp that they wired up. I'm not quite sure I don't know if they tied everything together, but I guess the 1 and 2 channel is running all the door speakers, which would explain why it's sounding like only 2 speakers are working. Obviously, it had a bridge for the 10-inch Alpine sub you had in here, which also didn't sound very good to begin with. Yes, everything will get new wires and new power wire, new speaker wires. Everything is going to be brand new. So just to kind of give you an idea on what I'm doing currently so far. So I'm here in the engine bay trying to take off the power wire. Kind of noticed that they had it going to the actual distribution box, and as you can see, it's pretty loose to begin with, so that's not really a good thing. Oh, looked like they just made it into a fork and kind of shoved it in there. Oh wow, that should not even come off that easy when it comes to a power wire. So that alone is not installed properly. So I finally got all the wiring removed. They're all right there. Power wire for the amp, all the speaker wires and all that. I will go ahead and start prepping the stereo. I'm pretty sure I have to cut this section out, these sides, and up at least halfway. So, but be careful, there is a wire behind. So I would just kind of start cutting just the top portion. That way you can see the wire that's underneath and then cut it later below. So, but yeah, just make sure there is a wire behind that, so don't just start cutting and going wild with it. But I'll show you the after once it's all cut and go from there. So I'm test fitting the screen. As you can see, I kind of made like very quick marks on where I would need to be cutting. You don't have to go overboard and cut all the way down. I mean, you can kind of see my line. So I would just say half an inch lower just to give it a little bit more room. It'll be kind of like that all around, even the sides. So, but yeah, just go ahead and use a Dremel or a cutting tool and start cutting. So I got the first round of cutting. I was mentioning earlier to be careful. As you can see, there is a wire just right below this. So I kind of started going a lot slower on this side. Make sure you try to push it down like that. That way you don't end up catching, because that is your climate control wire. So you got to be careful with that. So like I said, just push it down and start cutting. For the back one, I kind of used a cutting pliers tool because I couldn't see it with a Dremel. So at least I can see it with that while I was cutting. But I did use the cutting tool for this one, and then along all the way to the back. So now you don't see the cavity, so the radio will just slide in. So that is the end result. Got everything tested, everything locked back into the clips. So you can see you have just plenty of room. Like I said, you don't have to go all the way, go crazy on cutting. Just cut enough, that way it'll clear. This is for the harness that's going to the side, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, everything locked in. There's no obstructions, or it's not binding into anything. So overall, that's pretty much good to go. So I've been at it for quite a while now. I've been trimming the dash piece at least 45 minutes now. You do have to relocate the climate control just a tad bit lower. As you can see, it has a gap now. Before, you can actually snap these things back to factory, but it'll push the radio so high that it kind of doesn't line up when you put the dash back in. So I went ahead and followed the instructions and went down just a tad bit. I did have to trim just a little bit underneath. That way this part would slide back in. On the instruction, to me, it looks like you have to break those tabs that lock it in. What I did was I trimmed those along with trimming the bottom, so that way the clips or the locking tab would slide right in the same way as the factory. So as you can see, it's not going anywhere. It's this one I didn't fully secure yet, but just to kind of show you, everything is. Let me see if I can get to it. I should get the new mounting holes lined up. Just start sliding it in, so you can see. And there you go. It just snapped right back in. So that's how it should look like once you get everything done. So I went ahead and did the passenger side front speaker, the 6.5. I already got the wires ran and everything, as you can see. Zip tied in, going to the boot, to the speaker itself. Gorilla tape all the way to the back. So now I also did the rear speakers as well. Ran the wire all the way in the bottom. So it's pretty much all ready to go. I just need to do the driver side. I already did the driver side rear. So I just need to take off the front and do that one and run the power wire, and it should be all ready to go. So I just finished the driver side front speaker. That's what the kicker looked like. Got all the wires ran. I still need to run the actual wire, but for now I'm gonna finish up. It is dinner time. It's about 7 o'clock here in Kansas, so I will go ahead and wrap it up, put the door panel back in. So far looking good. So we're getting prepped the running the amp kit. For this one, you will need a long battery post extension replacement, so you can add a power cable. Basically, it's this bolt. It replaces the original one, but it adds an external bolt, so you can add that amp wire in there without having to cut that up. So just to kind of give you an idea on the length, just bolts right back in. So pretty much just like stock, nothing changed, looks the same but upgraded. So I'll go ahead and start running the power wire and let's go from there. So I went ahead and drilled the hole for the 4-gauge wire. I used one of these step drill bits. It's perfect for things like these. You can drill small hole, 10 gauge, 8 gauge, 4 gauge, etc. I believe this even actually cuts 0 gauge as well, make a hole for it. So, but yeah, invest in one of these. It's perfect for doing amp and subs. But that's where the hole is. This was the alarm related wires that a previous shop installed. So, but I drilled right below it, so you can see it's tight, doesn't move or anything like that. I'm on the process of running the RCA now. I already got the power wire ran to the firewall. Quick glance, it's right there. Always use that grommet so it doesn't get cut up. For the RCAs, I do recommend these Stinger 6-channel RCAs. Not only they're space saver, and they're a lot more thinner than the traditional RCA, so it fits a lot more tighter spaces in these type of Silverados or Sierras. But yeah, that's what it looks like. I'll go ahead and start running that along with the remote wire and get the power wire all the way to the back. Alright, I got the RCA kind of shot through down under the dash. Go ahead and run your remote wire along with the RCA. Already went and did that. So everything is pretty much ready. Just gonna zip tie the RCA into the dash and run it along the power wire and get it to the amp, which is all the way in the back. By the way, sky high 16 gauge for all the speakers. But yeah, that's the amp. It's already kind of mounted, just not tightened all the way down. So let's go ahead and do that now. So we're in the process of running all the RCAs and the power wire. As you can see, the RCA sits flat. Put a little bit of tape in there to kind of keep it secure all the way to the back. I ran the power wire, the remote, and the driver's speaker wire in there, so it looks pretty good so far. Cleaned it all up, zip tied in. This will touch one way or another, but that's kind of just how it's ran. I'll go ahead and continue finishing up all the way in the back and show you what it looks like. So I'm continuing running all the RCAs. You might wonder why I use tape. It just kind of keeps everything neat and not flop around and things like that. But so far, like I said, separate the RCA and the power wire so you don't get any type of noise signals. I'll go ahead and continue on that more and get this thing rolling. Okay, I went ahead and mounted these subs to the box. That's kind of what they look like. I will go ahead and start running the wires. They're already wired up inside, so they're pretty much practically ready to go. Overall, it looks pretty good, so it should match the interior pretty good. Had a little setback, so I had to run the speaker wire. So it's only going to be a 2 ohm load, so connect both, and it'll be a 2 ohm load stable subs. So I just finished wiring up all the 4-door speakers. The power wire, everything is turning on. I tested all the door speakers, rear speaker, sorry. The front, the rear, everything works. RCAs is all in the right place, all the wires. Kind of gives you a glimpse of what it would look like. I'm getting ready to put the sub box in place, so you won't be able to see any of these wiring once it's all there. Just so I figure might as well kind of get a glimpse of that a little bit. So it's Saturday now. I'm just finishing up on this rear view camera on the Sierra. This was screwed in kind of underneath right here. This little piece was kind of flimsy, so I just added like a little ABS plastic cutout right there and glued it on. That way it kind of has like some kind of support. So it's a lot stronger than what it was, because you can actually bend this little red piece before. So I gave it a little bit of strength. I'm gonna go ahead and mount the camera now and see how it looks. Here's what the camera looks like. I got it attached in there. Make sure you pre-drilled a very small hole. That way you'd end up cracking the ABS plastic, but as you can see, it kind of makes it almost like a wedge type of material. It kind of supports it at the same time, so it doesn't just flap around and fall off. But I'll go ahead and wire that up. Everything is already ran to the frame, following along an engine harness. Shot to the floorboard. There's like a little access hole that you can run the wire to, but that's what it looks like. Okay, we had to do a quick modification. Once I mounted it, I didn't realize the wire would hit the edge of the opening, so I just went ahead and kind of just cut a small notch. That way the wire will go through that and it doesn't interfere with the opening of the hole. So that should take care of the problem. So I got the rear view camera all cleaned up. Obviously it's going to the camera itself. I zip tied the RCAs. Make sure you heat shrink them. Loomed up all the way to the reverse engine harness. It all heat shrink in there as well. So it's kind of what it would look like. Make sure nothing touches anything that's hot or anything that's moving, which I have seen those happen before from shops that are rushing. But yep, that's what it should look like. I just followed along this harness all the way to the front. Is how you run your rear view camera video cable. I got the camera mounted. That's what it looks like. All centered in. Looks pretty good. It has 4 LEDs for nighttime application, so that's what it looks like. We are finally done. I'll go ahead and show you what all I've done to the truck. Start from the hood. That's the DVD. Okay, let's start off. Ran a new power wire for the amp. Also replaced the proper terminal for the battery, since the other one did not have any, and they had it tapped into the fuse box. All secured. Ran it along there, nice and tucked underneath, all zip tied in, and then it's going to the inside with the rubber grommet. Obviously we did the double din. Let me hop in here. Double din, custom fitted with a dash. Shaved a lot of old radio material, cavity, plastic, whatever you want to call it, but everything behind it had to be shaved off to get that radio to fit. Ran the mic zip tied along the harness. I had to relocate the climate control. The USB is here. It'll have an adapter whenever that little pocket comes back in, or the dash. All 4 speakers, 2 front, 6.5s. The ones in the back 4x6. Obviously 210 kickers. Got the 5-channel amp. Running all the door speakers. Once the seat goes back in and all the panels, you won't really even see that, but just kind of ran it like that. The rear view camera, pretty self-explanatory. So turn the radio on. Oop, my apologies. By the way, gotta make sure they get all their stuff. That's all his manual and the clips for the dash. I already checked my Bluetooth with it, so everything was good on that. Obviously the USB is playing. For the DVD, it's bypass, so if you want to watch a DVD, just gotta pop it in there and it'll do its thing and play automatic. Press OK. Just like that. DVD player mode. And that's pretty much all it is.
I know I'm from the nap. Why you niggas still sleeping on me? Insomniac. I don't got time to dream about it. I've been sitting here watching all of y'all fake niggas get put on. Now it's time for me to rise up, and my own too is what I stood on. Niggas is talking, but they do not live it. Taking these pictures, my work is so vivid that you gotta rewind and revisit. Cause my work is harder than any life sentence. One brother told me to go ahead and dumb it down, so I decided to tone it down. Niggas wanna hear me flow. Now you niggas wanna hear me flow. When I talk about getting hoes, when I talk about getting dope, that's everything you heard about.